Welcome to my kitchen. A million gamers united to counterstrike the COVID-19 coronavirus. The result was 2.8 exaflops, 5 times the processing power of the world's largest supercomputer to simulate the virus. Folding at Home was able to simulate 100 milliseconds, a tenth of a second in the life of the coronavirus, and capture the moment it opens its mouth to infect a human cell. Scientists believe this is also its moment of weakness. Inside a computer simulation, any sport can become esport. Virtual NASCAR and F1 are already attracting top racers. Like sports, esports captures the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat, and the human drama of athletic competition. Esports is on its way to be the biggest sport. First, big news. Fortnite is turning RTX on. Now Minecraft and Fortnite, the #1 and #2 most played games in the world, have RTX on. Fortnite will get ray trace shadows, reflections, ambient occlusion, and DLSS 2. Epic made a trailer for you. Let's play it now.
Let's go! 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 Let's go!
The opponent is traveling at 1500 pixels per second, and is visible in this opening for only 180 milliseconds. A typical gamer has a reaction time of 150 milliseconds from photon to action. You can only hit this opponent if your PC adds less than 30 milliseconds. Most gamers have latencies far greater than 30 milliseconds, many up to 100 milliseconds. Today we're announcing a new esports technology called NVIDIA Reflex. NVIDIA Reflex optimizes the rendering pipeline across CPU and GPU to reduce latency by up to 50%. In September, we're releasing Reflex with our game-ready driver. Over 100 million GeForce gamers will instantly become more competitive. Valorant, Fortnite, Apex Legends, Call of Duty Warzone, and Destiny 2 will be the first to integrate Reflex technology. For the 20 million live streamers, we have something really cool for you. NVIDIA Broadcast turns any room into a broadcast studio. NVIDIA Broadcast runs AI algorithms trained by deep learning on NVIDIA's DGX supercomputer, one of the most powerful in the world. Effects like audio noise removal, virtual background effects whether graphics or video, and webcam auto-framing is a virtual camera person tracking you. These AI effects are amazing. Available for download in September and runs on any RTX GPU.
What I want to talk about is noise removal. So I've asked my girlfriend to join me with a blow dryer here. And that distracting sound makes it very hard to understand what I'm saying. But when I turn on noise removal in NVIDIA Broadcast, you find that it's completely gone. And that blow dryer is still going. First up, we have the ability to blur your background, which you may notice that I need because I have a very cluttered and messy room. But when I turn this background blur feature on, all of a sudden I get this really classy effect. And I can adjust the strength of that from low to high and everything in between. Or, if I want, I can actually replace the background altogether. Now I'm in a space station with the magic of AI. It's that easy. Or, if I want to jump into some gameplay, I can remove the background altogether and jump into some Valorant. And now I'm playing with a green screen effect without actually having to have one at home. I don't have to play good, but at least I can look good. With the auto frame feature, it's like having your own personal cameraman that follows you wherever you go. So, if for example, I wanted to reach over and grab my cool Valorant hat and show it to everybody, it follows me every step of the way.
It's called NVIDIA Omniverse Machinima. It's an app built on our Omniverse 3D workflow collaboration platform. Omniverse is a universal design tool asset exchange with a viewer based on photorealistic path tracing. The engine is designed to be physically accurate, simulating light, physics, material, and artificial intelligence. We have connectors for most third-party design tools, like 3ds Max, Maya, Photoshop, Epic Unreal, Rhino, and many more. The Machinima app brings in elements and assets from games, and third-party collections like TurboSquid, and lets you mix and compose them into a cinematic. Creators can use their webcam to drive our AI-based post estimator to animate characters. Drive face animation AI with your voice. Add high-fidelity physics like particles and fluids. Make materials physically accurate. And then when done with your composition and mixing, render film quality cinematics with your RTX GPU. NVIDIA Omniverse Machinima, beta in October. Computer graphics and gaming will also be revolutionized by deep learning. Let me show you some recent works and the art of the possible. The first video is a generative adversarial network that has learned to synthesize virtual characters of any artistic genre, including photorealistic. Second is a neural network that animates a 3D face directly from voice.
You require more Vespine gas. It's dangerous to go alone. Take this.
The AI character can speak in any language, be any gender, and even rap and sing. Third is a character locomotion of infinite number of positions. Imagine negotiating arbitrary paths and obstacles. The fourth is reconstructing 3D from video. Imagine the possibilities. Record video, interact in 3D. This one is a deep learning model that learned the physics behavior of cloth animation. Finally, this deep learning model of ray tracing can predict colors of missing pixels, so that fewer rays need to be cast and fewer pixels need to be fully rendered. We can achieve orders of magnitude speedups. AI is certain to play a giant role in the future of computer graphics and gaming. The powerful tensor cores and RTX GPUs will let us do AI in real time. The DLSS model is trained on extremely high quality, 16K, offline rendered images of many kinds of content. Once trained, the model is downloaded into your driver. At runtime, DLSS 2.0 takes in low-resolution, aliased image and motion vector of the current frame and the high-resolution previous frame to generate a high-resolution current frame. I think DLSS is one of our biggest breakthroughs in the last 10 years. Take a look at these images of Death Stranding, the latest game by Kojima-san. DLSS is sharper than native 4K and created detail from AI that native rendering didn't even show. And the frame rate is higher. Even with RT Core, the amount of time consumed is significant. So RT Core and shaders have to run concurrently. Even then, 20 milliseconds is only 50 frames per second, and still a step back in performance relative to previous generations. This is where the Tensor Core and DLSS come in. Rendering to a lower resolution, then using AI and super fast Tensor Core to effectively double frame rate. Now you can get ray tracing, get high resolution, and high frame rate at the same time. Let me show you our new RTX GPU. Ampere is a giant leap in performance. Ampere does 2 shader calculations per clock versus 1 on Turing, 30 shader teraflops compared to 11. Ampere doubles ray triangle intersection throughput. Ampere's RT core delivers 58 RT teraflops compared to Turing's 34. And Ampere's new Tensor Core automatically identifies and removes less important DNA weights. And the new Tensor Core hardware processes the sparse network at twice the rate of Turing. 238 tensor flops compared to 89. Ladies and gentlemen, NVIDIA's new Ampere GPU, our second generation RTX, 28 billion transistors built on Samsung 8N NVIDIA custom process. All 3 processors double rates over Turing, a triple double. It connects to Micron's new G6X, the fastest memories ever made. The days of just relying on transistor performance scaling is over. Yet Ampere is an incredible 2 times the performance and energy efficiency of Turing, and real application performance highlights Ampere's new RT core. The more ray tracing is done, the greater the Ampere speedup. Ampere RT core doubles ray intersection processing. Its ray tracing is processed concurrently with shading, and Ampere can render cinematic images with motion blur 8 times faster than Turing. DLSS 2.0 is doing the super resolution and AI denoising. CPU copying data to memory and decompressing game images is now the bottleneck. Decompressing data from 100 megabytes per second hard drives takes only a few CPU cores. However, decompressing from 7 gigabytes per second SSDs on PCIe Gen 4 takes over 20 CPU cores. Today, we're announcing NVIDIA RTX I/O with 3 new advances. New I/O APIs for fast loading and streaming directly from SSD to GPU memory. GPU lossless decompression. And collaboration with Microsoft on direct storage for Windows that streamlines the transfer of data from storage to GPU memory. The RTX 3080. It is wonderfully crafted. It's going to look beautiful in your PC. Pulse amplitude modulation with 4 voltage levels that encode 2 bits of data each. G6X can transmit twice as much data as G6. PAM4 is extreme signaling technology and is just becoming used in high-speed networking. The Ampere thermal architecture is the first ever flow-through design, working harmoniously with PC chassis cooling system, pulling in cool air from the outside, flowing through the GPU, and pushing hot air straight out the chassis. To allow room for a fan to flow air directly through the module, our engineers architected a super dense PCB design that is 50% smaller than previous, while adding the bigger Ampere GPUs, HDMI 2.1, PCI Express 4.0, and G6X. Incredible amounts of processing in the shader, RT ray tracing core, and tensor core for processing AI. 10 gigabytes of G6X, twice the processing power of 2080, and at the same price, starting at $699. Available September 17th. It's a work of art. 20 shader teraflops, 40 RT teraflops, and 163 teraflops tensor core for AI processing. With 8 gigabytes of G6, RTX 3070 is faster than the $1,200 RTX 2080 Ti, starting at $499, available in October. So we double down on everything. Twice the shader, twice the ray tracing, and twice the tensor core, the triple double. Ampere knocks the daylights out of Pascal on ray tracing. And even with ray tracing on, crushes Pascal on frame rate. To all my Pascal gamer friends, it is safe to upgrade now. Ladies and gentlemen, the RTX 3090. Come here. Come here to Papa. Alrighty. 3090 is a beast, a ferocious GPU, a BF GPU, 36 shader teraflops, 69 RT teraflops, 285 tensor teraflops, and it comes with a massive 24 gigabytes of G6X. It comes with a silencer, a 3-slot dual axle flow-through design, 10 times quieter, and keeps the GPU 30 degrees cooler than the Titan RTX design. But there's more. The 3090 is so big that for the very first time, we can play games at 60 frames per second in 8K.
Oh, it is so smooth. It's butter.
Oh, it's smooth as shit, dude.
I can't believe it's not butter.
I mean, this is game changing. There's no other way to put it. My mind is blown, dude.
Wow.
This is our greatest generational leap ever. The second generation NVIDIA RTX, fusing programmable shading, ray tracing, and artificial intelligence, gives us photorealistic graphics and the highest frame rates